Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Championship Leadership Podcast. Today, I'm excited. Our guest from Boise, Idaho, Steve Larsen. You can check him out at stevejlarsen.com, affiliate marketing coach and master offer coach. You can check him out at Instagram, Steve Larsen HQ, and also the voice of Sales Funnel Radio podcast. So with that quick but awesome intro, thanks for being here, Steve. Appreciate it.
Hey man, thanks for having me. This is cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always love kicking the conversation off with this. Name of the podcast, Championship Leadership. So what comes to mind for you? Like, what does championship leadership mean to you when you hear that?
When I think of championship leadership, by the way, thanks for having me on. I mean, it's like, I just don't think it can, so I'm in entrepreneurship, and we got a lot of people who come on in and they've never done anything like this in their life. We got a lot of people who've done a lot of these things and it's interesting because whether or not you choose a path of entrepreneurship, whether you choose to, it's all about being a better leader. I mean, frankly,
yeah,
and whether or not you're like leading people, it is about learning to lead yourself. And I think gaining enough discipline to actually get somewhere. I think that's something when everyone goes through.
Yeah, totally. And it's great perspective to have, especially as an entrepreneur, business owner. So yeah, I can't agree more with that. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your path and who you are for the listeners, and really what's brought you to where you are today with everything that you have going on.
Yeah. When I was in college, we were super broke. Couldn't feed my family. And, I went in and I started building all these small products, and none of them were working. And as I kept learning, there's like these little minute increases in success, piece by piece. And it was challenging. It was not an easy time. In fact, it was very, very hard. I ended up learning how to build funnels while I was in college. And every one of my ideas I noticed involved the internet. And so I decided 1 year in school to just dive all in and keep learning more about the internet and internet marketing. And I started building all these funnels. Well, it caught the eye of ClickFunnels. And so I went, and I at the time we started making some money, but not enough for me to like justify going to an event and getting an airplane and stuff like that. But I decided to go to Russell Brunson's event in 2016, and we didn't have the cash for it. So I started trading funnels for plane tickets and funnels for hotel nights and funnels for the event. and I landed in San Diego, and I went and I tossed my luggage over my shoulder, and I rented one of those city bikes, the street bikes.
Yeah,
and I literally pedaled to the event, and threw the bike in a bush because I needed, I walked in and registered.
Yeah.
And I said my name. They go, wait a second. You're that guy pulling off all that stuff in our software. Do you want to come work for us? I was graduating in 5 days at that time. So I said, heck yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to be a support guy. And they had me come in and help Russell build his own funnels. And I worked there for a couple of years and left about 2 years ago. So that's kind of the rinse and repeat fast version.
Yeah. Okay. And so like, what's your main focus today?
Yeah. So I ended up leaving. And today what we do, was Russell's funnel guy. We built a lot of funnels for a lot of famous people. People want me to build funnels. So we have a funnel agency. We go and we build these nice funnels for people. And we teach people how to be marketers, honestly. Yeah. So it's got a ton of fun doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, thank you for giving it. That's awesome. That's a true story. How you grab the bike and you pedal to the event. And before you know it, like you're about to graduate, you got a job with Russ Brunson. So I love it.
Yeah, crazy.
Talk to us a little bit about like who have been some leaders or coaches or mentors along the way to get you where you are that have impacted you, and really more so like what is it about them or their leadership that has really impacted you, and maybe even some of those things that you've taken to help mold you as who you are as you are a leader in your own company.
Yeah, there's always those people throughout your life, and a lot of times you're not trying to find them or whatever, but right. It happened. And there was one, for some reason, this guy popped up in my head of all the others so far. And he was a drill sergeant I had in the Army during basic.
You were in the Army?
I mean, I was,
Yeah.
but this guy was so freaking intense. The other drill sergeants called him the Dragon, and
No way.
he would come walking into, our place. And it was all the classic quintessential scenes you see from Hollywood,
Yeah.
just throwing crap, all over, just going nuts on us. And at first he was just like, I was like, who is this barbarian,
Yeah.
But he ended up being like just this guy that it was really cool. He instilled so much discipline. I
Yeah.
thought it already was, but he brought it to
Sure.
these other levels. And yeah, I have huge respect for people who have command over their mind and body. And this guy was
Yeah.
just a physical beast. And I really learned a lot from him and
Well,
about
that's
a lot.
awesome. I was in the Army too, and
Oh, cool.
I've had some similar, like I remember some drill sergeants, but if for those of you that don't know, it's not like you exactly buddy up with the drill sergeants at any point, but yet there's this lasting impact that this guy made for you, right? That you just remember that sticks with you forever, which is pretty awesome.
I don't even remember his name. I just remember the Dragon.
Yeah, the Dragon. How
it.
can you forget the Dragon? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
We'll talk a little bit about what's the vision for you. I think a championship leader they definitely have a vision, and often it's one that a lot of others can't see themselves. That's the reason, and they have the courage to decisively execute on that, like quickly shifting and adapting and choosing and moving and acting. But then I also ask this, and some people are like, well, I really don't have a vision. I just I just stay in the present. And so that's all right too. And so if there isn't a clear vision, maybe what's the impact that you want to make for people and in your marketplace, your industry, moving forward in the near future?
Yeah. As far as the vision goes, I actually do have one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that is super key for a champion leader.
Yeah.
I think it's cool, like sitting down and watching the way true leaders react to crisis. That's one of my favorite testaments as to whether or not they're actually one, because there's a lot of times
100%.
I'd see Russell, like something would blindside him, something would hit, something wouldn't go well. And he would sit back and I would watch him. Sometimes he'd have his freak out moment, which is totally cool.
Yeah. Right.
And then he would sit back and like get logical about it and create like a little plan, and then just make these little tiny wins just to start creating momentum again, because there's a setback that just happened. Everything halted. So he's like little tiny win, little tiny momentum piece. And then it was cool because eventually just doing something was what got us out of it. It wasn't always the right decision, but just moving, just doing anything.
Yeah.
And it was neat because eventually he would align back with his vision. And so to answer the question, as far as what's the vision for me, I'll tell you my personal vision is I am using the info product space on purpose for the purpose of buying other investments to insulate me from the internet. That's what I'm doing right now. I watched Robert Kiyosaki do that. Grant Cardone did that. That's how they all do it. And now in the economic time we're in, it's actually a gift. It's time to run. It's time to go. And money just got cheap. So for me personally, outside of external, all these things, like what a gift. Like we just got the freaking lottery handed to us last night in terms of what's going on economically. And I know a lot may not agree with me on that, but a lot of big companies start in the middle of a downturn. And that's where they get so much land. It's just a huge land grab. For my business though, what we really are trying to do is I'm trying to help people understand that a funnel isn't marketing. A funnel captures the effects of marketing.
Yeah.
And so what my company and I are like so focused on doing is we take the burden of the funnel build off of the person so that they can be a marketer. But then it makes people realize, oh my gosh, I don't know what marketing is, right? So then we have to go and teach them what those parts are. It's almost like a funnel is like a catcher's mitt. Someone else to throw the ball,
Yeah, right.
It's all the market. So that's what we're doing. Vision wise for me though, even longer term though, I definitely want to go get in the software space eventually.
Okay.
We've got, I treat the way I set up the company, each of my guys I hire, we set it up so that they are tied in with profits, so that they are also able to participate in all the economic things that are going on. And it's a fun culture. They're required to have a business on the side to work for me.
Oh, wow.
Which is super
I love
rare,
that.
I know, but But anyway, we're just changing the world. Have a fun vision.
Yeah, that's unique. You know, I mean, maybe talk a little bit about that, because I know plenty of business owners where there's so much scarcity around if their guys go and have something else on the side. And almost always, I've never really heard it the opposite way. So that's why my ears perk up to that so much, that I love hearing you say that. What's behind that for you as a leader? Like, what's your reasoning there?
I wasn't able to build stuff on the side while I was at ClickFunnels for a little while, and
Okay.
it was really painful for me. But it wasn't their fault or whatever. It's just the phase.
Sure.
When I got there was only like, 10,000, 15,000 users of ClickFunnels. There was only like 30 employees. I mean, it was so right before their massive explosive phase. I think that rule's different now. But I watched guys like Robert Kiyosaki. It's a requirement to have a side business to work for him. And I realized, like, man, I want to adopt that. And what I found is that I get these employees that are more entrepreneurial than a normal employee.
Yeah.
And so what they're like in the evening times and during the weekends, they're obsessing. And then they come back on Monday and they're like, I learned this crazy trick off the clock that I'm now going to go apply to your thing for more value. Like,
yeah.
And since they're tied into profit, they're totally incentivized to do so. And I end up getting far more of the, like from 5 to 9 time than otherwise. And it's been really powerful. They're like really invested into it instead of just like, hey, what's my check for the day?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for talking a little bit more about that. That's great. I know we're coming up on our time here. I definitely want to respect that. So, but I always enjoy asking this question as well. Like, think back to maybe a turning point in your life or a defining moment where, had you gone left instead of right, had you made a different decision, you could be completely somewhere different in your life right now. Clearly you did make the decision you did, which has you positioned where you are and where you're at in life currently. I know we all have these moments. I know we all have many of them. Maybe we even have many of them every day, but what is one that maybe sticks out to you as I kind of ask this question, set it up?
Leaving my job.
Leaving ClickFunnels?
Oh my gosh.
Was it a difficult decision?
Oh, one of the hardest. It's easily the top 3 hardest things I've ever done in my life.
Okay.
And because I love Russell.
Yeah.
I love ClickFunnels. What we do there. Most people leave a job because something's wrong. Like that wasn't it at all. I was having so much fun over there. It's so cool. And so to leave the side of a guy like that, I was literally in the same room for 2 years. I got some hate mail for it, but I just knew if I needed to, I hit the spot where I could tell that my personal growth now required I leave. And if I hadn't left, I mean, I don't even know what would happen. I just can't even imagine what life would be like without having left now. So that was a big moment for me. That was a big moment for me.
I mean, that's really exactly what I think that question is geared towards. You could have very easily just stayed there. It was a safe play. You were happy there. But there's something deep inside you that's like, man, I just got to go do this other thing. I got to go run my show and go help other people. And so many from the outside probably, and it probably did happen to you, were like, you're crazy. What are you doing? But
whatever.
Well, like you say now, outside of that moment, because it's so hard in it, because there isn't a guarantee. You don't know if it's going to work, but now that you've done it and you made it work and you look back, you're like, oh, thank goodness I made that. And how was that do you still have a good relationship with Russell? Like, did he support that move for you?
Yeah, he did amazingly, which just speaks volumes to him, because that could have gone really bad.
That was my guess, that's probably how he handled that, just the way you talked about him and the leader that he is, that he probably did support that move.
And I've done my best to try and position myself to continue to serve the ClickFunnels cause. And so a lot of people think I still work for ClickFunnels even now, and it's kind of that by design, but it's really because I just want to stay close to them. One thing that I've really enjoyed, so when I left, I had no product. I had no revenue. I had nothing. And I don't advise that to anyone who's going to listen or watch this. I had just built hundreds of these funnels. I was confident in my ability to do it and pull it off. And so, but the freakiness of the first quarter of needing to build something from the ground up. I mean, I acted and behaved in ways I didn't know the human body could handle. You know, it was like, it was so freaky for a while there. And, but to look back and be like, man, I like squished like 3 years of growth into 3 months. You know, the thing that actually freaks me out more now than even that is, what if I can't find another scenario like that? Because it made me grow in ways I would not voluntarily go do, you know? And so I'm like, shoot, like what else is actually really, really, really going to just scare me to death, but cause me to go act in a way that I can't trust my will to do. And that's been on my mind a lot the last year. So I'm like, man, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Because we're making great money now. So I'm like, well, I don't think it can come from the revenue side. Right. Where else is it? And so the next thing that has really helped me become more of a leader over the last year has been a ridiculous focus on fixing my head. Yeah. So I do a lot of therapy every week. I go to a therapist. We have awesome. It's so this champion leader thing, like, has turned instead to me like, what's the crap I got to go fix in myself? And because externally it's like, man, that can't be the thing anymore. So it's instead pointed inward. And it's been one of the greatest side gifts I never, ever, it's like it's such a cool hidden benefit I never expected from the game, to have resources and time to go develop self. And that's been powerful.
Yeah, that is powerful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. What would be one, as we do wrap up here, what's one or two things that you could share with the listeners that if they implemented today for themselves in their life that, you know, maybe have worked for you, guiding lessons that you live by or principles, that would help them move forward today in their life?
Yeah. You know, so there's this thing that I helped to do for a while called the One Funnel Away Challenge. And it got pretty popular.
Right. Yeah.
And it was tens of thousands of people through this process. And what we were doing is we taught like a revenue model for the internet. And I was like, hey, here's a model that works really well online, regardless of what business you're in, online or offline, doesn't matter. And so I go and I teach the model, and by person 20,000, you know, I started like seeing this really intense pattern. Once it hit me, I was like, oh my gosh. What I started noticing was that we go teach the model and people are like, oh man, I see the model. I see that there's the ability for that to work. I see that that's a possibility. But as they start taking these steps to go run the model, that's where all the problems come from, because they're not a good driver yet. And so they'll turn back and they're like, this vehicle can't be that amazing because, you know, there's no gas in it. And I'm like, well, you just got to put gas in it and it's still a good vehicle though, you know, or like, you're not amazing at driving yet. You didn't have a driver's license. You know, it's like, so all the issues that pop up in not just entrepreneurship, but anything in life come from, first of all, understanding the pattern that made it work in the first place for someone else. But then there's this second entity, and this second entity is you and how you react to it. And so you're taking these steps and you're walking towards the vehicle to drive the pattern and do that thing for the first time, whatever it is. And all these character flaws just like explode in your face. Just, oh my gosh, I didn't know I sucked at waking up at a good time. Oh, I didn't know that I had zero confidence on a camera. Oh, I didn't know. And so what ends up happening is all these adults typically have, and I usually see it more from adults, have this thing where they're like, that must not be a good vehicle. Like, what? It has nothing to do with that. Like, you're just experiencing all these things pop in your face. That's okay. That doesn't mean the vehicle's wrong or the model's bad or it's not a cash revenue. I missed the funnel bubble, you know? Like, what? It's more about that. And I think if you can just, especially if you're trying to become a champion leader, become cognizant of what those things are that are happening to you, you're going to get shown them because it's going to suck. Like, and the first thing to do is not be like, well, the internet must not work for me. I'm not a good fit for this.
Totally. Yeah.
And instead to sit back and say, what's happening here? Let's gain a self-awareness level and sit back and go like, oh, you know what? I'm really, really bad at whatever. And owning that, then you can do something about it instead of blame the vehicle. It has nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate you taking time out today, like I said, and we'll definitely get everything linked up for you so that we can find out more about you. But I just wanted to thank you again for taking some time out of your busy day in life to be here with us. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good day, Steve.
Hey, you too.